Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not fully familiar with the rules of the committee, having listened to the minority statement. Would it be in order for me to discuss the bill that you're hearing on today?
I think so.
Thank you. I didn't want to change the subject rudely in a committee where I was a guest. It is true that the House did pass by a large majority a bill to ban Internet gambling. Then many of my colleagues began to hear from the hardworking, honest Americans who said, "Why are you presuming to tell me what to do with my money?" And I can tell you that many, many members have reconsidered that. I will also add that that bill became law because the Senate fooled us. It acted quickly. I know that many of the members in the House voted for that bill, assuming that, like many other bills, it would die in the Senate. Instead, because we had a Republican leader who was interested in running for president and interested in getting the votes of people in one sector of the Republican Party who believed that the Bible outlaws gambling, although apparently with a footnote that says except bingo, he got that bill added on to a bill in the Senate to which it was unrelated, a tactic which my colleagues on the other side of the aisle intermittently approve. And when that became law, it came law to the consternation of many. And I will tell you, yes, it is now illegal. My committee will be voting on a bill in July to legalize this. And we do not believe that this is a case where prohibition works. We are not talking about an activity that harms others, where we properly step in. We are talking about a decision by adults to do what they want to do with their own money. I hear a lot from my Republican colleagues about government not being the nanny, government not being too intrusive. Well, when you tell a 25-year-old man who wants to play poker on the Internet with money he has earned that he can't do it, that it's illegal, what is that? And we also hear that the Internet should not be interfered with, that we ought to have freedom of the Internet. But here again, we have a very intrusive restriction. By the way, it is also one that contradicts another tenet I hear from some of my conservative colleagues. Let's not overregulate. The way in which this bill now operates, this law, is to impose on the banks of America an unmeetable burden, as they have told us. It says that they are responsible for blocking any credit card payment or other payment over the wire from their bank that goes for gambling, with no way for them to tell. So yes, I am going to try to repeal it. And then the question is this. We do know that gambling will go on in America because the people who gamble are doing it voluntarily, and they're not going to report themselves to the police. It's not as if someone was robbed or assaulted or in other ways interfered with, and they would go to the police and said, "Please help me." So the question is, should we continue to give to those who gamble a total immunity from taxation? Should they bear no part of the burden of the war in Afghanistan, or of putting out fires, or of doing a number of other things which only the government can do? I am very impressed with the work done by my colleague, Mr. McDermott. He took the initiative in this piece of it. It is, we are told, something that would raise over $40 billion, he tells me, over 10 years for the federal government, $30 billion for the states. We talk now about trying to avoid teacher layoffs. This would be a way that states would be able to do that. And what's the principle? The principle is you let adults do what they want with their own money. Yes, it's true we don't want children gambling. We don't want children drinking. We don't want children watching pornography. We don't want children smoking. Those are all things accessible through the Internet. We do know how on the Internet to try and put age restrictions in there. They're not perfect, but they are better than prohibition. So I must say, and the last point we're told is, well, if you don't tax something because you will diminish it. I don't gamble myself. I have no problem with taxing gambling if we have two effects here. One, revenue for the government, and two, you diminish the gambling impulse in some people. That's fine with me. So I don't understand, other than the view that it's the right of the federal government to tell adults that they cannot enjoy themselves and no harm to anybody else with their own hard-earned money, or their not so hard-earned money. There's money that comes in easy for some people, and I hope you'll do something about that in the next bill. But I do not understand this, and I think what the gentleman from Washington has is a very sensible way to deal with it. I should say we have safeguards in our bill. I'm very pleased that my co-sponsors include Ron Paul, and maybe people on the other side can be listening more to the Pauls these days. And secondly, Mr. Peter King, the former chair and the current ranking Republican on Homeland Security, who's worked very hard to refute any notion that this will lead to money laundering, terrorist activities, etc. I think the President, Mr. King, and Mr. Paul as co-sponsors indicates how serious we are.